that God rejects people who reject Him. That if you don't want to have God in your life, Jesus says you don't have to. Though I love you, I will never force myself on you. I will never make you walk with me. I will never make you love me. I love you so much that I give you the option to love me back or not. Because that's what love does. Sometimes love has to accept the no for an answer. That's what happened in the time of Noah. God must be getting a little depressed. It's very early in the history of man, because you had the incident that we talked about 2 weeks ago with Adam and Eve eating of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, deciding that they would rather decide for themselves and have God active in their lives. And then we have the story of Cain and Abel, where Cain gets upset because he wasn't the chosen one, when it was the fact of his own coldness of heart that got him at odds with God. And we have the point in which Cain left the presence of God. And we get to the time of Noah, and God has grown just incredibly frustrated with earth. So much to the point that he regretted making man. And he decided that he was going to judge the earth. It wasn't the fact that he didn't want them. It was the fact that they didn't want him. So God found the person of promise that was there, and that was Noah. When the whole world turned their back on God, Noah didn't. And so God picked Noah to build a boat. Interesting boat. They just built a recreation of it in, I think it's Ohio. And basically it was a boat large enough to hold 2 of every kind of animal, and then Noah and his family. And once this project was constructed, he loaded 2 of every kind of animal and brought his family together, and they shut the door, and the world was swamped. 40 days and 40 nights it rained. It's also said that water came up from underneath the ground so that nothing made it and everybody perished. I try and imagine the time when Noah's building this boat, some of the conversation that's going on. Hey Noah, hi, what you building? A boat. Why you building a boat? It's going to rain. What's rain? I don't know. Never had rain before. Boat in the middle of a... Could you imagine somebody building a boat in the middle of New London? And I'm not talking about a boat. Zach and Mel just got a boat. That's a boat. But I'm talking about a boat. A small aircraft carrier. What would you think about that? Well, we're just going to go up and down the river in it. How do you turn it around? We're not sure. That would be the attitude that these people would have had to Noah. And Noah just had to go, I don't know. Pretty stupid, Noah. You'd think. Didn't matter. He continued to build that boat. He trusted. This is the type of trust God is calling us to. Will you believe His word when it doesn't make sense? When everything else around you seems to disagree with it? Where no one can see but you? And it's a little cloudy for you. This is the type of belief God is asking you. Do you trust that I love you? Do you believe that I have your best interest at heart? Really? Because I do. That's what Jesus would tell you day after day. I know you're getting old. I know life isn't functioning like you want it to be. But do you understand that from the very first time I laid eyes on you, I had your best interest at heart? One day it'll all be clear. But until that day, I ask you to trust me. What about hospital times? What about times when we have more month than money? What about the times when people around us let us down and maybe even seek to injure us? Can God be trusted? What about times when we're laughed at? That was Noah's experience. Why are you putting all your time into that, Noah? Because I should? Yeah, right. Closed up the gate. Everybody was inside. Nobody seemed to mind until the rains came. My thought was, what do you think the scene was around Noah's boat when the rains were falling? Do you think any of the neighbors ran and were pounding on the sides of the ship in pure horror? But God wiped out the entire world and set Noah adrift. One thing I've never seen constructed on the ark was a rudder. I've read it and read it again, and I never read where he had a rudder put on it. At no time was Noah underneath his control. He just got in the ark and rode it out.
He didn't have no GPS.
No GPS, and if he did, it didn't matter anyway. He couldn't decide where he was going. Then the rain stopped, and he took off the covering, and there he was in the center of all the water. Until one day, he hit shore. Why is that important? Because I believe that we have an ark today. And that it's the same exact principle. You see, it says in the New Testament, what we read today, that as in the days of Noah, they were eating and drinking and marrying and giving in marriage. That they were facing life. And that it wasn't anything unusual before the doors got shut up. And the ark that we're given today is Jesus himself. It's whether or not we want to be children of promise. Whether we will climb into the ark that is provided for us or not. I need you to understand that as we give ourselves over to Jesus, as we climb into his ark, it doesn't have a rudder. We're not given the opportunity to steer. God says, I'll steer for you. I will lead, I will guide, I will direct you. But just as in the days of Noah, people around you aren't going to understand what you're doing. Did you know that a congressman got up, not a congressman, a senator, got up recently and said, we need to get rid of Christians from public service. You know why? They believe Jesus is the only way to God. How dare they? Isn't that the most arrogant thing you've ever heard? We need to get rid of all Christians from public life because they believe Jesus is the only way. Just happened. And there were a number of people that agreed with that senator. We are not part of the majority in our world anymore. Especially when we get to the point where we believe that Jesus actually talks to us and we can hear our voice and talk back to him. Do you realize if you told that to most people, they'd look at you and go, wow, you're weird. And my response is, it's the promise of Scripture. If you're not on that bus, it's your own fault. They don't always deal well with me, though. I'm a little outspoken. You probably figured that out. But that's the truth. Say hello for me. What's the song? I have no idea. It wasn't Melancholy Baby, that's for sure. But here's our point. The point is that we are at the very same place. We live in a society that are eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, and having no concern whatsoever for God. None. And if we are to walk with him, it'll be against the flow. It's just what it is. I loved my professor of Pentateuch, which is the first 5 books of the Bible. The very first day he taught it, he said this: young men and young women, I want you to know this. Any dead fish can float downstream. It takes an alive one to swim against the current. That's what we're called to do. To swim against the current. Because Jesus calls us to be a part of his kingdom. Jesus calls us to get on his boat. Jesus calls us to be a part of something that is separate, something that is special. And it's up to you to make that decision. Amen? Stand with me, please. Lord Jesus, we